have here today a treat. I have my chapter soror. Everyone knows that I am a Delta and I love Delta through and through. Ooh. And we are a sisterhood of wonderful, illustrious women. And I have brought on one of these illustrious, wonderful women. And I have here Miss Karen Roberts Turner. She is my chapter soror and now a premier author.
What?
Yay! So
Hey, girl.
now today on Tell 'em Why You Mad, sis, we are mad that we are not able to get out on this literary front, but guess what? We're making strides. So this is an opportunity for a Black woman author to tell about her journey and getting out and being bold, and also the story of her new novel. So Karen, tell me, tell us, this crew, about yourself.
Well, hey, Jen. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hey.
So, I'm a DC girl. I was born at Freeman's Hospital, which is right at Howard University's campus. I spent some early years in New York City. So, I have that New York edge, but have been in DC for most of my life. I'm a lawyer by training, but in 2016, I decided to reawaken my storyteller and I wrote my first book. And it didn't just write itself, it kind of was a journey.
So I love talking about journeys.
Yes.
And you said in 2016, that was a while back. It's 2021 right now, and your book is now being released.
Yes.
So that's not something that happened fast. And, people like instant gratification nowadays. And I would like for you to tell our listeners a little bit about how it's not about the instant gratification, it's about your journey. So 2016 up until 2021, tell us about that journey and you getting your book and writing it and getting it published.
Sure. So actually, my journey probably starts even before 2016. Like I said, I'm a lawyer and I've been a trial lawyer for all of my career. In 2011, I was diagnosed with brain cancer, and that sort of put the brakes on me being a trial lawyer, and it tried to put the brakes on me doing anything, even living. But by the grace of God, I am still here. And so after that, I didn't work in the same environment anymore. I had a less stressful job, which I guess enabled my mind to just kind of explore different things. And I had a 14-year-old daughter who was growing up and discovering her own self. And she was very creative. I don't know where she got that from, but not me. She wrote songs, she wrote poems, she made a website. So she like was doing big things. Um, but being the mom, I still helped her with her essays and college applications and things like that. But she, I think, probably got tired of me helping her. And she said, "Why don't you go write your own book? Kind of like, can you leave me alone and go do your own thing?" So I kind of said, okay, well, yeah, why don't I? But it wasn't until 2016 that I started, and it was a snowstorm. I don't know if you were in DC in 2016. Superstorm Jonas, I believe it was, shut the city down for about a week, and there wasn't really much else to do in the house. My daughter had gone off to college. Um, TV wasn't much to watch, and I think when I had satellite back then, and when it snowed hard, you lost that signal. So I probably couldn't even get anything on TV if I had wanted to. So I just sat in front of the computer and started writing some words, whatever words came to me. And the words that came were the words of the main character of my book, The Other Twin. And it was just her introducing herself to me, Ebony. The first words I wrote were, "Hi, my name is Ebony."
Wow.
So I I never wrote a book before. I was a science major, a lawyer, so I'm a technical writer. I was a technical writer. Um, I didn't know the rules of storytelling in this way. I knew how to tell a story in a courtroom because that's what trial lawyers do. We tell a story, hopefully a story that convinces the jury to decide in our favor. So this was a completely different way of thinking, but it it kept coming. So like I said, the city was shut down for a week, so I had nothing but time, and something just kept being created, and I just kept typing for hours and hours and hours. Words just kept flowing, and I just let them flow um, for a long time until I, didn't have any more. I don't know if you ever saw Forrest Gump. You know how he ran and ran and ran,
Yes,
and then he
yes.
stopped. And he's like,
Yeah, he was
Forrest,
like,
why'd you
I'll go
stop?
home now. He's like, he turned around
I'm
to the
going home.
crowd, and the crowd's looking at him like, we don't have a purpose anymore. But they were like,
Yeah,
I'll
so,
go home now.
okay. Yeah, so it was kind of like that. So I wrote and wrote and
Yeah.
wrote until I didn't have any more to say, and then I stopped. And then I didn't pick it up for a while. But you know our chapter and you know our book clubs because you used to chair arts and letters. And
Yes.
I came to one of your book clubs a few years back. So we had a book club and it was at my house. And
Yes.
our Thor, Victoria Christopher Murray was there.
Yes, I remember that one.
We were talking about, hey, yeah, I wrote this story. It's on my computer. I never, ever expected to even print it, let alone have anybody look at it. But she is a phenomenal author, very distinguished publisher, editor, all of those things. So she said, well, it sounds interesting. I'd like to read it. I'm like, really? Okay, write it
Wow.
done. So she challenged me to finish it, and everybody who was at that book club was, holding me accountable. Are you finished yet? Are you finished? Like, no, I'm not. But I finally finished. I gave it to her, and of course, she took the hatchet to it and said, "Yeah, I think I see about 4 pages of a story here that." No, it wasn't that bad, but she had to get rid of all the excess stuff
Right.
and pare it down to the true book in the midst of all those words.
Right.
So with her, continued support and editing, and I had other writing support people, I was able to write something that was fit to be published. But
Mm.
it took a lot, and I'm just so glad that I found the right people to support me and hold me accountable, and to help me not to ever give up on something that I had started.
So, Karen, I have to say this. Like, hearing that, I hear nothing but inspiration, right? So, like, I need to know what your spiritual journey looked like during that time of going through that process. Like, what was your prayer life like? Like, what were your midnight hours looking like?
Yeah. Um, so
You said,
I
oh,
have
child.
always had a solid faith, and I'll say always, always as far back as I can hold myself accountable for having a faith.
Right.
So it wasn't new to me to pray, but when I found out that they found a brain, and I didn't have any symptoms, I didn't have any risk factors. This wasn't even anything that in our community, in my circles, in my
Mm-hmm.
world, I had ever even heard of.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got that diagnosis, yeah, I was shook.
Mm.
I was shook because it was a stage 4 glioblastoma, which has made the news because that's what Biden had, and John McCain had, and Ted Kennedy had, and
Wow.
another James Ingram. I think
Mm.
James Ingram. But what is common about those 4 people that I just mentioned is that they didn't live very long
Right.
after their diagnosis and treatment, because that's what happens with this particular cancer. You get it, and then it takes you out in a couple of years. So I'm 9 years post, and it's nothing but a miracle.
Amen.
All God, none of me. And I think it's just like 4% get this far.
Wow.
And but I didn't know that this is where I was going to be. But I did pray a lot. I was definitely in constant prayer and communication, because it wasn't so much me saying, God, why me, why me, why me? It was like, okay, so how are we doing this?
Right.
I mean, I know what is about to happen, but how are we doing this? And so I just had to be in a constant state of surrender, because there's so few things in life that we can control. And I think there are just as few that we have absolutely no control over. That, we think we can control things. I think I can control my schedule. I think I can control my health. I think I can control my child. I even think I can control my thinking. But that diagnosis and my prognosis was something, there was really nothing that I could do to impact it, but just be here for it. So I think that was my attitude, was surrender. It's like, okay, this is my assignment. How are we doing this? And it wasn't comfortable. It wasn't easy. The treatment was long and involved, and chemotherapy, radiation. I still don't have all my hair back, as you can see. But I shaved it all off. And my best friend was my hairstylist now. She cut it. And she made sure that I was comfortable with who I was and how I looked. I'm not my hair. And we actually played that song in my kitchen the night she shaved my head.
Aww.
And yeah, I mean, it still makes me tear up thinking about it. But I had people like that around me. So it was a community effort. And I had people praying for me around the world. I got emails from people from everywhere. And that made a difference, I believe.
So about this book, because you mentioned you had a circle of people around you, and that's very similar to our sisterhood that we have in our sorority of the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Okay, so but in this novel you speak to sisterhood. Yes. So give us a little tidbit, a little snippet of the book. Give them a little snippet to get them excited to read it.
Something.
So let's talk about the sisterhood. Yes.
I talked about how I started writing this in 2016. My daughter was, I don't know how old she was. I can't do the math, but she was in high school. She was in high school and getting ready for college and, being a mature high school student. So all around me was that age music, that age conversation, those age people. And they were talking about college, going to college, and then during the life of this book, she eventually went off to college. And so the story is about twins who are college sophomores. And they start out as, wonderful, loving, identical twins. But when one of them gets to college, she decides she wants her own identity. So she breaks away from her sister, which leaves the other twin to find her way, a new way. So the story actually looks at the one twin primarily, but we see both of their journeys to define themselves in their own different ways, motivated by the different things that college presents, all those challenges, some of which aren't glamorous, some of which aren't, we wish we didn't have to have orientation to talk about the things that happen in college. But so the book kind of touches on the twins' experience in college, with each other, without each other, and then how they navigate that. And it's a real good conversation starter with college girls, high school girls, and sadly, even junior high girls, because some of our younger children are being exposed to some of these issues. And there, there needs to be a way for us to prepare our girls for what is to come. And it doesn't even have to happen at college. It can just
Mm-hmm.
happen anywhere. But this is a good way for them to see it and see how, you know, relationships, because, you know, you can't have a book about girls without there being some love stories in there,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of drama. So there's something for everybody. And like I said, it's a great discussion starter. But what I have been most surprised by is that people in every age group from 30 to 80 have loved this book because of the nostalgia that it
Wow.
brings. I've gotten text messages and calls and emails like, oh, it took me back to my college days, or it took me back to when I had my first boyfriend, or it took me back to whatever. And I didn't expect that to happen. It kind of was nostalgic for me. Everything in here is made up, but it is informed by real life. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have to necessarily live these experiences or have anybody I know live them to know that they happen, because
Mm-hmm.
it's you know, enough of it out here
Mm-hmm.
to know. And it's I think it will be entertaining, definitely, for anybody who reads it.
Okay. So something you mentioned previously that I wanted to tie back into this moment is that your assignment. You asked, you was like, God, okay, so how are we doing this, right? And in this journey of you becoming an author and producing this book, what do you ultimately see your assignment being with it? Like, where do you see it going? Like, what do you feel in your spirit you want it to do for people?
I wanted to bless and inspire, and that's how I sign it: be blessed, be inspired. Because one of the things that you mentioned earlier is that my story is inspiring, and it is because what I was presented with, the Goliath that I was presented with 9 years ago, um, was defeated. And I didn't do it on my own, just like David didn't do it on his own. He reached in his bag,
He
I
did.
reach in my bag. And so the I represent what God can do
Mm.
if we let God do what he has determined to do in our lives. And I believe that, yes, I spent 20 plus years as a lawyer, but it abruptly ended in 2011. So God was saying, okay, yeah, you did that because that's what you wanted to do. So I let you do it. Now I need you to do something else. So I need you to maybe I don't know exactly what my assignment is, but I do know that I have to use the gifts that I have to convey the message that's in me. And my gift is writing. I think that this is my first of many to come, um, and I don't know that they will. Everybody has asked, well, will there be another sequel? Will there be a sequel? Will we see more? Maybe, you know, if they decide they want more, I'll give them more. But um, so I think my assignment is to just continue to discover and let God work through me.
Mhm.
It's a constant state of discovery. Just like you are now doing these
I
podcasts.
listen, I was
You
just
didn't
about to
always
say,
do that.
I was actually just about to share that myself. Because we were sharing stories like by trade, like my degrees, I'm a business major. Like my undergrad is in business and I have a master's, I have an MBA, but now I'm going to get my doctorate in ministry.
Yeah.
Like, what a shift. Like, and here's the kicker. I had a minor in chemistry.
Yes. See?
So like it's like that purpose, that shift in your journey and
Right.
then being called to your assignment, because I ran from my assignment. I ran from it, and I was told what my assignment was. And I was like, okay, not me.
Right.
But when it hit me smack in the face, there's no denying it. And you know
Exactly.
what? You can sit here and run from God. He don't chase, he don't have to chase.
Mm-mm.
He will
Right.
always get, he was always get what he wants in the end.
That's
So
right.
like, you
Yeah.
know, this literary journey, my spiritual life coach journey, and who knows
Right.
the what the magnitude of, you know, after I become Dr. Black, you know, what that looks like. And you know, you and your literary journey. And I just see, actually, you know what, Karen, I have to admit, like, I see you reaching out through masses. Like, you're already reaching out through masses, like, you know, with your book, but I see you reaching out the masses in other ways too, because you know, I always adore you. You're shining star ever since I came to chapter. So you guys, I got to tell you the story. Let me tell you about Delta Sigma Theta and our sisterhood. So I'm a little Neo in 2013, and I show up, and I don't know if you remember this story, Karen, but you were actually one of the very first sorors in WDCAC that I ever met. And you were actually one of the ones that made me decide to join the chapter. And I know you didn't know me from Adam, you know, or Eve.
I probably know.
You did. And that was just a warm greeting. And
Yeah.
I didn't even know at that time you had just got finished battling cancer.
Yeah.
But she was still so warm. And she actually made me decide to join this particular chapter, you know, when I just crossing from my home chapter where I was made, where I felt comfortable, to find a new home and to felt that warmth. But that's the sisterhood that we had. Like, that's how Delta is. Like, that's why we here, and we are a sisterhood of service. So in the service, we are serving masses by giving encouraging in words and inspirement. I mean, inspiring
No, that I like that word, inspirement.
inspirement.
Yeah, definitely.
Encouragement and inspirement. Like, you know
Definitely.
what?
That's it. That's our
We
word.
just made something new. It's, I was like, wait
That's
a
our
minute.
word. Yes.
Yes. I love
Hmm.
it.
Yes,
Inspirement.
definitely. So
So
yeah, I
we
think your the fact that you've had such some prior experiences that are so different from what you're doing now, similar to me, just was God's way of getting you ready for this. You needed to have that chemistry mind. You needed to have the business sense to be able to do whatever you're doing now and whatever you're going to be doing in the future. But you're right. God will always win. And I think there was, there's that still small voice, and then there's parting the Red Sea. So I didn't listen to that still small voice or that little whisper in the wind. So he had to part the Red Sea to get me to sit down and pay attention. And so we do talk, God and I. It's like, you didn't really have to do brain cancer though, did you?
I
But
mean,
then when I think about it, I might have not have surrendered to anything else, because just about anything else I would have tried to fix or handle or work out in some way, because that's what I do, because that's what
that's
I do.
right. Yeah.
um, but he had to give me something that nobody could figure out. Well, how do they fix? It's like, we
Wow.
don't know what to do. We throw some medicine at you and surgery and all this, because this is our best hope. But so it was all about surrender for me. So
Girl, listen, let me,
that
oh,
is that's
Karen.
what my that journey was.
Oh
And
my
I
gosh.
have peace about that, and I don't lament any aspect of it. But I do agree that there is a story, a message, some inspirement to be shared more broadly, as I get more comfortable with this new area of expression, which is published writing.
But don't you feel more joy in that new area of expression though?
I do.
Yeah. So it's like, you guys got to understand that once you step into your purpose, you feel such a peace, a river,
Yes.
that calming, and just knowing that you're doing what God assigned you to do. You get happy about it. Every morning you're like, okay, God, you want me to do what? No worries. I got you.
Yeah. I mean, I could write. I could write all day, but I really do enjoy speaking and talking and sharing. In this. So I do think that that is something that will be ahead
Oh
in,
yeah, I
in
actually
some
was
way.
alluding to that earlier.
Yes.
That's what I was. This is just a start, you guys. I just wanted to say thank you, Karen, so much for
Thank
spending
you.
some time and the inspirement that you
Yes.
created. And
Yes.
I just wanted to say, like, seriously, you are a whole walking testimony, and I would have been remiss not to even have you. I'm so glad that your line sister connected us so we can get this, because
Yes.
I this is something that you guys need to listen to. How, seizing your moment, understanding trials and tribulations happen, and being able to position yourself to step into your purpose.
And
So
never giving up.
never giving up. Thank you so much, Karen. Karen, please tell people how to purchase your book, find you, book you for speaking engagements, all of
Yes.
the above.
The book is available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, BrownGirlsBooks.com, and MalikBooks.com. I can be reached at theothertwinbook@gmail.com or 202-417-7719. I am on Facebook, Karen Roberts Turner, author, and on IG, Karen_Roberts_Turner.
Now, I want you to, for the people who watch us on YouTube, I want you to show us your book again
It is
so they can see.
beautiful.
Look at that, you guys. So, when you're surfing the internet and you're looking to purchase this lovely book by Karen Roberts Turner, make sure you guys recognize that. Look at that. It,
Beautiful.
and thank you so much, you guys, for joining us for Tell Them Why You Mad, Sis. Speak what you really feel, and keep looking out for more episodes. Check me out at jennifercblack.com. And until next week, you guys have a amazing day. Thank you.
Thanks.